Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a 2019 SIHH launch that may be the best version of the Lange Sohne Zeitwerk. This is the Zeitwerk Date, a timepiece in white gold that is 44.2 millimeters in diameter, thinner than the previous Zeitwerk at 12.6. The other ones range from 13.5 to about 13, so this is actually broader and thinner at 12.6 millimeters thick, and almost identical from lug to lug. The standard 42 millimeter Zeitwerk is 52 millimeters lug tip to lug tip. This one is 52.3. So if you can wear the 42, chances are you can wear the 44.2. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it's broad and flat, more so than previous Zeitwerk watches, which tend to look a little bit rotund and pot-bellied. This one appears broad and relatively flush to the wrist. I wouldn't recommend it for a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference, but you can see right here on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it does look at home, and it's surprisingly cuffable at under 13 millimeters thick with that domed bezel. Now, taking a quick look at the hardware and the software, the strap is luxurious. Large rectangular scale alligator leather, matte black, a little bit of bolstering to give it thickness. You can see the edge of the strap is folded. It has a monotone black stitch, and on the bottom we have a gray calfskin. This is a brand new Lange factory strap. We have a pin buckle in matching white gold, and the Lange pin buckle is a smart piece. You can see some of the exterior features, and then the interior features are just as impressive. We have an elevated bridge. You can see how the prongs duck down below the bridge so that you create a little revetment or recess in which the strap can sit without stacking up on your wrist. And then there's this little retaining bar internally. This right here is actually there for those of you who have smaller wrists like me, who might use the smallest hole or even punch a smaller hole. You know that when you strap a watch down tight, sometimes it can get pinned on the pin and be difficult to extricate from the wrist. Well, with that little retaining bar inside the pin buckle, you don't have that problem. The watch is classical Lange, which is to say the lugs are stepped out from the case band, and you can see that clean break between case band and lug. You can see that the mid case is satinated longitudinally. The edges of the pusher for the hours in this case are polished, and the outer face is satinated. And then you have a separate pusher right here, which manipulates the date indication. We'll talk about that in a minute. It too is satinated on its outer face and polished around its rim. The attention to detail is excellent. The bezel has a little vertical portion and then a domed portion, both of which are of high polish. And you can see that this watch has lived a charmed life with elements of the packing stickers still present on both the bezel and all four lugs. The crown, as is common with the Zeitwerk, is sharply knurled, and I've got the watch stopped right here so we can enjoy what this watch does best, which is to jump the time in spectacular fashion. First launched in 2009, the original Zeitwerk won the GPHG Alligator, the best watch of the year, as honored at the Oscars of watchmaking. And this watch builds on the legacy of that one. We'll start from the outside and work our way in. You see there are two pushers, one of which I mentioned executes a change in the hour. And it's an all-or-nothing system, so you can't press it halfway and get a change. You see how that's not working? The idea is that you can't accidentally change the date or the hours, and you can't get the mechanism betwixt and between or damage it. So you have the ability for the first time on a Zeitwerk to quick set the hour. As ever, you have the ability to quick set using the crown, but the idea here is that you don't have to cycle hours and hours to get through every single minute between you and the correct time. So you adjust the minutes, and now you have a quick set button that allows you to adjust the hour. The date. Probably not the most impressive change on this watch. That would be the hour index or the thinner profile. But we do have this little red disc that sits underneath a sapphire smoked radial date display. So you can see, I'll do my best to show you this. Right now the date indicated is 6, now it's 7, now it's 8, now it's 9, now it's 10, now it's 11. It's a jumping date, and you control it using this quick set trigger down at approximately 8 o'clock. The dial Inboard of the date reference is all sterling silver and then galvanized this lovely anthracite gray. So the dial itself is made of precious metal. What you see here, the time bridge, the hour and the minutes display, that's actually part of the movement on the dial side. So it features this lovely graining across its surface, and though it is made of German silver, it's here rhodium plated to make it silvery and better match the grayscale design of the dial. Now you will see the watch has hacking seconds if you wish. It also has a power reserve indicator, and this one moves more slowly as you wind, because with twin stacked mainspring barrels, mainsprings operating in parallel, we go from 36 hours of power reserve on the previous Zeitwerk to 72 on the Zeitwerk Date. Flip it all over, things get better still. Big changes aesthetically. First, the movement is broader in diameter. This is the L0438, so it's the 8th version of the 043. You can see the Maltese cross stopworks on top of the barrel has been replaced by a lovely double solarized ratchet wheel, and I'll even mention that stopworks remains. It will always stop the seconds hand at 60 as the watch runs down, so you can more easily reset it and rewind it. So the stopworks is still present, you just can't see it. We have that lovely barrel, which as you can see is solarized, that wonderful spiraled graining across its surface. We have the same on the other wheels. Black polished screw heads. We also have fired blue screws. Both are present. The slots and circumference of these screws are chamfered. You can see glasuta stripes across the bridges, and the bridges are made of German silver, a nickel copper zinc alloy, reminiscent of a pocket watch, and that is the idea. And it doesn't need to be plated. It has that natural golden hue because of the copper content. You could see both the escape wheel cock and the balance cock have been freehand engraved, and then we have a cover in black polish as well as a swan's neck fine adjustment in black polish atop the balance. The balance is adjusted in 5 positions, which is the high horology and chronometer standard. It's free sprung, beats away at 18,000 vibrations per hour, and it features an overcoil hairspring, which is not something you commonly see on Lange watches. It makes it a better timekeeper in any physical position with respect to gravity. Now, what you'll note about the time bridge, as this mechanism is often described on the reverse side, we have the time bridge on the front, we have the time bridge on the back. It's the Remontoire mechanism, and it's made of steel, so you see it's polished stainless steel on its bevels, and then it's satinated across its top. The original on the first Zeitwerk featured a little bit of a dog leg kink halfway. This one has been thinned out, made slighter and more spare, and then you can see there is a linear progression from pivot to pivot. It doesn't have that kink anymore in the travel from the pinwheel that slows down the energy from the jumper, and then the locking mechanism that operates once a minute. So every minute, energy is transferred when the minutes jump. This little locking lever that you see, the second pallet, will transfer the energy from the jumper to a double third wheel that has a hairspring between it, and that hairspring provides energy to the balance. This way, these enormous mainsprings with all their power will not cause a huge surge in the amplitude every time the minute jumps. You have constant force and a relatively constant amplitude, as it uses the same principle as the original Zeitwerk, but here the balance loses 7 times less amplitude. The fluctuation over each minute is only 5 degrees compared to over 30 for the original Zeitwerk, which would have some fluctuation of balance amplitude. Now it's almost none, which makes this jumping time watch an unlikely and outstanding timekeeper. The watch is beautifully executed with engine turning on the base plate, and then you can see on the edge of every bridge we have this rounded mirrored anglage that is started mechanically but finished by hand, and admirably so. This watch is 30 meters water resistant. That's just about the only criticism I can level at it. You could see that it features the CO logo, so this case would have been made by Centror in Switzerland. And if you've ever wondered why it is there are Swiss hallmarks on Lange cases, that is why. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.